the end of this calendar year.
What about genocide? What about the possibility of genocide?
No residual forces. I think there has to be pointed out a difference in our approach. Obviously, genocide is something in Darfur. You know, I have been involved in that issue. I believe what we need to do there is stop this genocide. Why don't we care about Africa?
Well, what about Iraq, if it were, God forbid, to happen there?
Well, obviously, I would keep troops in Kuwait where they are wanted. I would move them to Afghanistan to fight al-Qaeda. But I believe that our troops have become a target. Our troops right now have done a magnificent job. And so what the difference between all of us here is this. All of these resolutions, the funding, supplemental appropriation on funding, on issues relating to timetables is not working because the president is vetoing. But let me finish.
Hold on one second. We're going to get back to this. I want to let Senator Gravel, he hasn't had a chance to speak yet. Senator Gravel, I know you've been outspoken on all of these issues. Where, very briefly, do you disagree with these other Democratic candidates?
Totally. It's just that simple. 4 of these people here will say that it's George Bush's war. It was facilitated by the Democrats. They brought the resolution up. One of them co-authored it here, standing here. And so it's sure it's George Bush's war, but it's a Democrats' war also. Now, do you want to end it? You're concerned about what's going to happen after we withdraw? Well, remember Vietnam. All the dominoes are going to fall. Southeast Asia is going to go communist. Well, how do we know what will happen? I do know this, that the insurgency is successful because the population sustains that insurgency, period.
Let's go to the next question from Tom. Go ahead, Tom.
Yes, thank you. Congressman Kucinich, the New Hampshire Union leader asked viewers to...
Can't hear you.
It's hard to hear you. Right.
Okay. I'll yell. I don't think the mic is working.
Go ahead.
The New Hampshire Union leader asked readers to email questions for the candidates.
Can you hear him?
I don't know if we're having trouble with his mic. I'll read you his question.
Yeah,
the Union leader, the main newspaper here in New Hampshire, asked readers to email their questions. Here's one from Michael Pelletier, a major in the New Hampshire National Guard. Can you tell me if the mission we accomplished during our deployment in Iraq was worth our effort and sacrifice, or was it a waste of time and resources?
I honor the people who served. We all owe them a debt of gratitude. But those who sent those soldiers were wrong. They should have never been sent there in the first place, Wolf. This war has been based on lies. And we could have a productive evening here right now if all of my colleagues on the stage or in the Congress would commit to telling the Democratic leadership not even to offer a funding bill. Because that's really the way to end the war, Wolf. Just say no money. The war's over. You want to end it? Bring them home. Stop the funding. And this is where Senator Clinton says, well, this is George Bush's war. Oh, no. There's a teachable moment here. And the teachable moment is that this war belongs to the Democratic Party because the Democrats were put in charge by the people in the last election with the thought that they were going to end the war. Well, they haven't. They have to stop the funding, and I certainly am urging all of my colleagues here, don't give them any more money. The money's in the pipeline right now, enough to bring the troops home. Right. Let's end the war, and let's make this a productive evening.
Senator Biden.
Wolf, look, the Republicans and this president have not told us the truth about this war from the beginning. The last thing we Democrats should do is not be telling the truth. We have 50 votes in the United States Senate. We have less of a majority in the House than any time other than the last 8 years. Ladies and gentlemen, you're going to end this war when you elect a Democratic president. You need 67 votes to end this war. I love these guys who tell you they're going to stop the war. Let me tell you straight up, the truth. The truth of the matter is, the only one that's emboldened the enemy has been George Bush by his policies. Not us funding the war. We're funding the safety of those troops there till we can get 67 votes.
Hold on. I want to bring Senator Clinton in. Senator Clinton, do you regret voting to authorize the president to use force against Saddam Hussein in Iraq without actually reading the National Intelligence Estimate, the classified document laying out the best U.S. intelligence at that time?
Well, I was thoroughly briefed. I knew all the arguments. I knew all of what the Defense Department, the CIA, the State Department were all saying. And I sought out dissenting opinions as well as talking to people in previous administrations and outside experts. You know, that was a sincere vote based on my assessment that sending inspectors back into Iraq to determine once and for all whether Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and using coercive diplomacy was not an unreasonable act. What I did not count on, and what none of us did, who voted to give the president authority, is that he had no intention to allow the inspectors to finish their job. Now, we can argue about the past, or we can answer the question you asked about from the National Guard. Our troops did the job they were asked to do. They got rid of Saddam Hussein. They conducted the search for weapons of mass destruction. They gave the Iraqi people a chance for elections and to have a government.
Well,
it is the Iraqis who have failed to take advantage of that opportunity.
Let me just be precise, because the question was, do you regret not reading the National Intelligence Estimate?
I feel like I was totally briefed. I knew all of the arguments that were being made by everyone from all directions. National intelligence estimates have a consensus position, and then they have argumentation as to those people who don't agree with it. I thought the best way to find out who was right in the intelligence community was to send in the inspectors. And if George Bush had allowed the inspectors to finish the job they started, we would have known that Saddam Hussein did not have WMD, and we would not have gone